Okay, today we are standing at Crossroads X in the Ardennes, and if you know what happened here, then you know what horrible things men are capable of during wartime. Here, on this field behind me here, the Americans set up a field hospital during the Battle of the Bulge. So when the Americans came from the front line, the wounded, they could be treated here on this field. The field hospital tents were clearly marked with a red cross on each of them, to indicate to the enemy to not attack or bomb this field. Normally, an agreement during wartime is that you don't attack medical staff or hospitals. At the start of the Battle of the Bulge, already the first wounded were arriving. Guys from the 10th Armored Division, 28th Division and the first wounded of the 101st that were evacuated retreated in these tents here on this field. Surgeons were working around the clock on the wounded. You could say it was like an ant farm with the jeeps and trucks full of wounded soldiers driving in and out all the time. Now, at the same time on this road was a big stream of civilian refugees, families trying to get away from Bastogne because the Germans were approaching from the opposite direction. Mostly women and children, but also a lot of men, because they didn't want to get captured by the Germans and forced to be fighting for them in the war. So coming from this road were a stream of people who were refugees coming from Bastogne, and they were towing carts with small horses in front of them going up this road. That same evening, on the same day, around 4:30 PM, there was a German tank unit coming towards the field hospital, which belonged to the 116 Schwere Panzerabteilung. And this unit was not fighting for Bastogne, but were trying to find a way to cross the Our river. And the Germans see the stream of refugees coming down that road. And one of their forward observers noticed an American field hospital sitting here on this field. So what did the Germans do? They actually stopped some refugees, took their coats, put them on, hiding their machine guns underneath the coats, and they mingled themselves with the refugees, walking towards this field hospital. The Germans then surrounded the field hospital here with a few men dressed as civilians with their machine guns and machine pistols underneath the coats, waiting for the signal to attack the field hospital. Then, at a certain moment, they all swung their guns from underneath their coats and they charged the field from almost every direction and started machine gunning the tents. The Americans were totally surprised by this. One of the guys who was a medic here was Richard O'Brien, and once he heard the gunshots, he immediately lay flat down on his belly and he crawled towards the end of the tent, trying to escape this horrific scene here. Luckily for him, he manages to reach the edge of the wood. There, he meets another escaped American who is holding a gun. That American crawled out with a pistol in his hands while he was heavily wounded. He says to Richard O'Brien, "Go, take this gun. If they catch me with this gun, they are definitely going to kill me." Richard managed to get up, escape into these woods, and then runs into an American patrol away from Bastogne. So he was safe again behind the friendly lines. Richard survived that day, but many didn't survive this attack. Only the walking wounded were taken prisoners, and the rest were executed. So, from the very first day on, the 101st, the 10th Armored and the 28th Division lost most of their medical staff. They were now almost out of surgeons, dentists and nurses. One of the guys captured here was Major Bill Desabry. Desabry got wounded in a nearby town that day. He got a headshot wound and they put him in an ambulance, gave him anesthetics and brought him to this field hospital. When he came out of his anesthetics, he woke up in a German truck on its way to Germany as a POW. But, luckily for him, the Germans let him live because he was an officer, which the Germans often did during wartime. After the ambush, a few German soldiers stayed here to guard the field hospital that just was attacked by them. And in the following morning, on the high ground towards the southeast side, elements of the 401st Glider Infantry Regiment attacked this crossroads to take back the field hospital that was attacked previously by the Germans. During the attack, there was a car horn of a truck going constantly off. At first, they didn't understand where the sound came from. But when the battle was over, they saw a dead American soldier who got shot laying over a steering wheel pushing the car horn down in a truck. So the Americans took back the field hospital when all of a sudden about 6 German half-tracks came from the southwest driving towards the field hospital. And Mike Campana of the 401st walked up with a bazooka, he came down towards the hill and he knocked out the first vehicle. When the first vehicle got destroyed, he then put his aim towards the last vehicle and knocked that vehicle out as well. He then started to take out every single vehicle in the middle between those two. Mike Campana got a silver star for this action. Well, back to the previous day when the Germans attacked the field hospital, one of the guys who was taken prisoner by the Germans, who was a nurse, his name was Hank Skowronski. Hank always brought his camera with him, also that day when he was at the field hospital. He took some pictures of the field hospital right before the attack, in which you can see it was clearly an aid station marked with the red crosses on the tents. When the 401st counterattacked, the damage sadly was already done here. One of the 401st soldiers, named Carmen Gysi, he was exploring the remains of the field hospital here and all of a sudden he found a camera on the ground. Because what happened during this ambush, Hank had dropped his camera during the German attack and Carmen Gysi found it with still 12 pictures inside the camera roll. Carmen took the camera with him and continued taking pictures of him and his comrades during the war. And it was only around 15 years ago when a friend of Reg Jans, the battlefield guide tour who told me this story, reunited Carmen Gysi with Hank Skowronski. During that meeting, there Carmen gave Hank his camera back. This whole German attack on the field hospital was a big setback for the Americans during the Battle of the Bulge. When you read books and testimonies about this place, it is usually referred to as Crossroads X, the field hospital that was overrun and the executions that had taken place here on the first day. So sadly, these type of events also happens during war, and it still does, even today. Even such sad stories needs to be told and taught to people and learned by people. And I'm so glad that Reg Jans told me this story while I was on the battlefield tour of him, so I could share this topic and this video with you guys. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I want to thank Reg Jans for his battlefield tour where he told me this story. So please check his website out, that's regjans.com. And I also have a Patreon, so if you want to support my channel, you can do that there. I'll put the link in the description of my Patreon in there. And yeah, I'm standing here on the field and we'll close the video with this sad place. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Salute.